My name's Ethan Hayes. I'm 20 years old and technically a famous rich jerk. Not really, I just play one on TV or in this messed up reality. I woke up one morning to find myself transmigrated into the role of the villainous side character in some cheesy web novel. My only goal? Screw up so spectacularly I could go home. But the more I tried to fail, the more popular I got. The Ice Queen campus belle started bringing me breakfast every day. The arts department's sweetheart publicly handed me love letters. And even the cute little art school prodigy from the neighboring college wanted to be my little lamb. Now, the campus belle has me cornered against a wall, her eyes blazing. Try running again, I dare you. Help! This plot is completely derailed. My name's Ethan Hayes, and right now, I'm freaking out. Just yesterday, I was happily ranting at my computer, binging some urban fantasy novel called The Ice Queen's Personal Bodyguard. The villainous side character share my name, Ethan Hayes, and he was the ultimate simp and an idiot, constantly doing the dumbest things just to make the overpowered main hero look even cooler. Yes, karma's a bitch, because after a freak lightning strike, I woke up as that exact same spoiled, doomed side character, Ethan Hayes. In the original story, this Ethan was the most notorious entitled rich kid at Pacific State University. He used his family's money to relentlessly pursue the female lead, Jessica Miller, acting as the first and most brutally crushed stepping stone on the hero, Jake Thompson's, path to a harem. His greatest hits included sending roses only for them to be tossed in the trash, reserving an entire fancy restaurant for a grand confession that was completely ignored, and attempting to forcibly hold her hand, only to be conveniently interrupted and put in his place by Jake. According to this damn villain redemption system in my head, I had to strictly follow all these idiotic plot points from the original story, accumulate enough self-sabotage points, and only then would I unlock the final reward, returning to my own world. Otherwise, I'd be stuck here forever, enjoying the ultimate combo package of bankruptcy, total abandonment, and living on the streets. You gotta be kidding me. Today was my first day in this world, and also the first major plot point. The original Ethan was supposed to corner Jessica Miller, the Ice Queen campus belle, outside the girls' dorms on the first day of classes, showering her with expensive gifts and harassing her to kick off his pathetic sim career. The system's cold, robotic voice echoed in my mind. Mission issued. Proceed to the girls' dorm building. Verbally harass the female lead, Jessica Miller, and attempt to forcibly present her with a diamond necklace. Mission success reward. Self-sabotage points plus 10. Mission failure penalty. Electric shock for 10 minutes. I stared at the blindingly gaudy diamond necklace in the system's inventory space, my mouth twitching. This thing clearly cost a fortune. Couldn't I have done something useful with it? Why pick a fight with the Ice Queen campus belle? What was the original Ethan even thinking? But to avoid being fried to a crisp, I swallowed my pride, tucked the necklace into my pocket, and slowly dragged myself toward the girls' dorm. Every step was agony. I mentally replayed the book's description of Jessica Miller. From a prominent family, drop-dead gorgeous, top-tier student, and a personality as cold as the Arctic ice. She gave no quarter to any suitor, especially detesting the original Ethan, that annoying pest, to her very core. I could already picture the whole humiliating scene. Public rejection, the gift thrown away, becoming the entire school's laughingstock. Sigh, life's a mess, and sometimes you just have to roll with the punches. I try to console myself as I reach the infamous confession tree outside the dorm building. According to the plot, Jessica came out of the dorms around this time every day, heading to the library. I took a deep breath, steeling myself. It's just acting like an idiot, right? Easy. Channel all that rage you used to unleash on your teammates in online games. Ethan, you can do this. Minutes ticked by. Girls passing by were already pointing and whispering. Look, it's that rich jerk Ethan. Is he bothering Jessica again? Ugh, so annoying. Like a toad, trying to court a princess. My face burned hearing their comments. My toes are curling so hard, I almost have a hold of China. The shame. This villainous side character badge was practically tattooed on my forehead. Just as I was about to give up, ready to face the electric shock penalty, a figure of breathtaking beauty appeared at the dorm entrance. It was Jessica Miller. She wore a simple white sundress, her dark hair cascading like a waterfall down her back. Her skin was as fair as snow, and her features were as delicate as a masterpiece. But those eyes, clear and bright, held an unapproachable chill, as if they could freeze the very air around her. Here we go. Plot point activated. My heart hammered, and my palms grew sweaty. According to the script, I should now flash a sinister smile, which would probably look more like a facial tic, walk up to her, and declare in what I imagined was a deeply romantic voice. Jessica, this starfall tear necklace is perfect for you. Only you deserve its brilliance. Then, Jessica would coldly reject me with a look of utter disgust. Take it away. You're repulsive. I gritted my teeth. For the sake of going home, I was all in. I forced what I hoped was a charming smile, but was probably more like a creepy smirk, took a step forward, and reached for the necklace. But what happened next froze me in my tracks, my brain completely short-circuiting. Jessica's normally icy eyes, the moment they met mine, suddenly sparkled. It was like ice melting into a gentle spring thaw, even flashing with an indescribable mix of surprise and intense warmth. Instead of ignoring me or showing disgust, like in the book, she actually started walking towards me, her pace quickening. Under the stunned gaze of everyone around us, including me, Jessica stopped right in front of me, close enough for me to catch the subtle, elegant scent of her perfume. She looked up at me slightly, and on her pale cheeks, a suspicious blush actually bloomed. Ethan, her voice was clear and melodious, with a barely perceptible tremor, nothing like the cold tone described in the book. Are you waiting for me here? Me? Wait, this isn't the script. Director, she's got the wrong lines. The system in my head emitted a garbled static. Plot deviation detected. Recalculating. Watching the campus ice queen, whose face now glowed like a peach blossom and whose eyes burned with intensity. I clutched the diamond necklace tighter. I couldn't give it to her, but I couldn't put away either. I was completely frozen. Somebody tell me, what the hell was going on? Where was the disgust? Where was the cold rejection? This campus belle, who looked a little shy, a little excited, and a little possessive, like a total Yandera. Where did she even come from? I, Ethan Hayes, was currently experiencing the worst existential crisis since I transmigrated. This Jessica Miller, with her flushed cheeks, startlingly bright eyes, and even a hint of playful affection, was she really the aloof campus queen from the book, the one who could freeze people solid? The starfall tear necklace in my hand felt like a hot potato. Giving it to her seemed inappropriate, but taking it back made me look like a wimp. My brain was short-circuiting, and I still couldn't figure out where the plot had gone so horribly wrong. Ethan, Jessica called softly when I didn't speak, her voice gentle and questioning. What's that in your hand? Here it was. My chance. Despite the bizarre circumstances, the system's mission had to be completed. I took a deep breath, trying to channel the original Ethan's arrogant, spoiled brat persona. Swallowing hard, I held out the necklace and said in what I hoped was a domineering, but was actually a very shaky voice. Ahem, Jessica, this starfall tear necklace is perfect for you. Only you deserve its brilliance. I actually cringed hearing myself say it. According to the original plot, I should have heard a cold get lost, or at least received a dismissive eye roll. But instead, Jessica's gaze fell on the glittering diamond necklace. Her long eyelashes fluttered, and then her blush deepened. Far from rejecting it, she carefully, as if handling a priceless treasure, took the necklace into her hands. Thank you, Ethan, she murmured, her voice barely a whisper but clear in my ears. I really like it. Me? What? She likes it. What in the world are you talking about? You're supposed to be disgusted, lady. Your character arc is completely broken. The system's alert in my head dissolved into a jumble of static once more. Warning! Warning! Major plot deviation detected. Female lead affection meter unknown error. Self-sabotage point calculation invalid. System unstable. Static. System, are you okay? Hang in there. The surrounding crowd of onlookers completely erupted. Holy cow! Did you see that? Jessica Miller accepted Ethan's gift. Is the sky falling? The Ice Queen campus belle was actually charmed by that rich jerk. No way. Absolutely impossible. My goddess. Did Ethan use some kind of mind control? Listening to the chatter, I looked at Jessica, who was clutching the necklace like a shy maiden, and felt my head start to throb. Had this mission succeeded or failed? Beep. Gift delivery detected, but female lead's reaction severely inconsistent with preset parameters. Mission status: success, uncertain. Self-sabotage points +10, awarded. System entering emergency repair mode. Partial functions temporarily restricted. Okay, well, at least I got the self-sabotage points, even if the success felt totally wrong. So, I guess I'll head out. I mumbled, desperate to escape this chaotic scene and sort out my jumbled thoughts. Wait, Jessica suddenly looked up, calling out to me. My heart sank. Was she regretting it? Was she going to throw the necklace back? Instead, she quickly pulled a pink lunchbox with a cute cat design from her elegant handbag and pressed it into my hands, her voice carrying a hint of unshakable resolve. This is for you. You need to eat breakfast. I numbly took the lunchbox, still feeling the faint warmth emanating from it. For me, breakfast? Jessica Miller, the campus belle, giving me, the villainous side character, breakfast? This world had officially gone insane. Before I could even process it, Jessica, as if having completed some vital mission, quickly said, "See you tomorrow," then clutched the diamond necklace and hurried away, her steps a little flustered. Just as she turned, I thought I caught the faintest, almost imperceptible curve of a smile on her lips, a smile that could melt glaciers. I was left standing there alone, holding a cute lunchbox, utterly bewildered, under the envious, jealous, and downright dumbfounded stares of all the other guys. I stumbled back to class in a daze, feeling like I'd had some bizarre, hallucinatory dream. Opening the cute cat lunchbox, I found a meticulously arranged sandwich, a fried egg, and some fruit. Clearly a lot of thought had gone into it. Yo, Ethan, way to go. Big Mike Evans, my desk partner, a random background character in the book, the original Ethan's hanger-on, leaned over, his eyes wide. That's not Jessica's, is it? I just heard she accepted a gift from you outside the dorms. The campus forum is blowing up. I roll my eyes helplessly, taking a listless bite of the sandwich. The taste was surprisingly good. Seriously, man, what's your secret? How'd you melt that ice queen? Big Mike asked, a mix of admiration and gossip on his face. I like to know that myself. I'm more confused than you are. Shut up and eat your food. I shoved a slice of apple into his mouth, silencing his chatter. The entire day, I was completely out of it. I didn't hear a word the professor said, my mind consumed by Jessica's abnormal behavior and that pink lunchbox. The system was still in repair, occasionally sputtering out error code, recalibrating, messages, which only made me more agitated. What the hell was going on? Did I transmigrate incorrectly, triggering some kind of butterfly effect? Or was it Jessica Miller? Had she been transmigrated too? The moment the dismissal bell rang, I practically fled the classroom. The sheer volume of information I processed today was too much. I needed some peace and quiet. But as soon as I stepped out of the building, I was stopped by another figure. Not Jessica, but a different girl. I recognized her. She was mentioned in the book as Brittany Jenkins, the art department's sweetheart, known for her vibrant, outgoing personality and one of Jake Thompson's future harem members. According to the original plot, she should have absolutely no regard for a spoiled brat like the original Ethan. Yet here she was, smiling brightly, holding a letter. "Hey, Ethan," she greeted me cheerfully. "I'm Brittany Jenkins from the art department. I really admire you. Please take this letter." I looked down at the pink envelope, which smelled faintly of perfume, and saw for Ethan written in elegant script. Ugh, a love letter. My mouth twitched. What day was it? Was this the villainous side character's springtime? Beep. Random mission triggered. Reject Brittany Jenkins' love letter and mock her for being presumptuous. Mission reward. Self-sabotage points +5. Mission failure penalty. Bark like a dog in public. The system's voice was still a bit glitchy, but the mission prompt was right on time. Okay, this was more like a villainous side character's job. While it felt a little scummy to treat a girl like that, for the sake of self-sabotage points and going home, I took a deep breath, forcing on the original Ethan's arrogant, sneering expression. I glanced at Brittany out of the corner of my eye and scoffed. Brittany Jenkins? You? You think you're good enough to write me a love letter? Take it back and don't block my way. Then, just for good measure, I waved a hand in front of my nose as if her perfume was some foul odor. Perfect. That level of disdain should definitely earn me some hate, right? I secretly gloated, waiting for the system to confirm mission completion. But Brittany's reaction completely blindsided me again. Far from getting angry or upset, her eyes lit up even more, as if she discovered a new continent. She didn't take the letter back. Instead, she pushed it closer, her voice buzzing with a strange excitement. Wow, Ethan, you're so intense, even when you're rejecting someone. I love it. You absolutely have to take this letter, and I'll keep trying my best. With that, she practically shoved the letter into my hand, winked at me, and skipped away. I stood there, holding the burning hot love letter, once again turned to stone. What the hell was happening now? Did girls these days actually like being insulted? Were they all masochists? Mission status. Success. Uncertain. Self-sabotage points +5. Awarded. System instability escalating. Dude, system, your voice sounds like it's about to cry. I watched Brittany's retreating back, then thought of Jessica's strange behavior that morning, and a ridiculous thought popped into my head. Could it be that the villainous side character, had inexplicably become popular? But that made no sense. It defied all logic. Just as I was racking my brain, a cold gaze, tinged with a hint of hidden anger, shot towards me from nearby. I instinctively turned, and there stood Jessica Miller under the shade of a tree next to the building. She was quietly watching me, clutching a book. Her face had returned to its usual aloofness, but her eyes were sharp as ice picks, fixed on Brittany's love letter in my hand. Her gaze was no longer shy or surprised like it was this morning. It was filled with possessiveness and an almost Yandere-like intensity. My heart skipped a beat, and an inexplicable chill ran up my spine. Jessica didn't say a word, just gave me a deep, piercing look as if saying, "You are mine." Then she turned and walked away, her silhouette still elegant, but radiating an invisible pressure. I watched her go, then looked down at the love letter in my hand and the empty lunchbox from this morning. My future suddenly seemed bleak. This wasn't some villainous side character's redemption arc. This was a hybrid horror movie titled The Yandere Campus Bell Fell for Me, mixed with What Do I Do When I Accidentally Become a Campus Heartthrob? The system was still offline, the plot was totally off the rails, and I, a transmigrator clutching a self-sabotage script, had no idea how I was supposed to survive in this bizarre world. Holding Brittany's pink love letter, which still emanated that strange perfume, I felt like a hapless idiot clutching a ticking time bomb. Jessica's last look, cold and utterly possessive, sent shivers down my spine. What the hell was going on? A villainous side character dedicated to meticulously following the script and diligently screwing things up, had somehow become hot property, and now I'd apparently attracted a campus belle who seemed more than a little unhinged. System. Dad, are you fixed yet? Give me a hint. Anything? I screamed internally. Static. System core logic conflict. Attempting worldview recalibration. Host. Static. Self-discovery recommended. The intermittent electronic voice had a distinct I give up quality to it. Great. This broken thing was useless. I crumpled the love letter into a ball and tossed it precisely into a roadside trash can. It was a jerk move, but my gut told me that keeping that thing would only lead to more disaster. However, I had severely underestimated the speed at which rumors spread on campus. Overnight, the bombshell news of rich kid Ethan Hayes melts the Ice Queen campus belle, and art department sweetheart Brittany Jenkins publicly confesses to Ethan went viral across the campus forums, spawning countless ridiculous versions. Shocker. Ethan Hayes' secret identity revealed. Master Casanova. 2 goddesses falling for him. Deep dive. From spoiled brat to campus heartthrob. What's Ethan's secret? The importance of a rich family. Can money really buy you anything? The next day, when I walked into class with dark circles under my eyes, I definitely felt the gazes around me become incredibly complex. There was envy, jealousy, curiosity, and more than a few girls sending subtle glances my way. Ethan, man, you're incredible. Big Mike threw an arm around my shoulder, his face jiggling with excitement. You're basically public enemy #1 for every guy on campus now. Spill your secrets, bro. I weakly pushed his fleshy face away. Secrets? I'm barely holding it together. I just want to lie low. I want everyone to think I'm that annoying rich kid so I can peacefully self-sabotage, rack up points, and go home. But silence was not to be. During the morning break, as I stepped out of the classroom for some air, I was blocked in the hallway by several unfamiliar girls. "Ethan, please take my chocolate. Here's a scarf I knitted myself. I hope you like it." "Ethan, can I get your number? I'll text you." I stared at the 7 or 8 girls, their eyes sparkling, clutching various small gifts. I was completely numb. Was this the treatment for a villainous side character? This was clearly a campus romance drama hero's script. Beep. Random mission triggered. Launch a blanket insult attack on all present girls expressing interest, accusing them of being shallow, vulgar, and presumptuous. Mission reward. Self-sabotage points plus 20. Mission failure penalty. Temporary charm stat doubled. 24-hour duration. What? The penalty is double charm? Is that even a penalty? That's practically pushing me straight into the fire. System, how badly do you not want me to complete this mission? But for those precious 20 self-sabotage points, and to avoid that terrifying penalty, I had no choice but to go for it. I took a deep breath, forced on the most obnoxious expression I could muster, and looked down my nose at the girls, scoffing. A bunch of basic nobodies. Look at yourselves. You think you're worthy of bringing me gifts? Take your junk and get lost. You're an eyesore. Then I deliberately fanned the air in front of my nose as if they smelled bad. The air instantly froze. The girls' smiles stiffened, their eyes shifting from anticipation to shock, then hurt and anger. Yes, that's the look. That's the reaction. My heart swelled with triumph. Finally, something normal. Come on, insult me. Hate me. Let the self-sabotage points rain down. However, the expected accusations and angry outbursts never came. After a brief silence, one girl suddenly clutched her hands to her chest, her eyes sparkling. "Wow, Ethan is so cool. Even when he's being mean, he's got style." Another girl immediately chimed in. "Exactly. That dominant vibe. I'm totally in love." See? Real heartthrobs are always a little cold. He's just testing our sincerity. Right. We won't give up. Far from leaving, the girls enthusiastically shoved more gifts into my arms, then, amidst a chorus of "Ethan's so hot," and "Go, Ethan," they happily ran off. I stood there like an idiot, my arms laden with chocolates, homemade cookies, scarves, and even a fluffy teddy bear. My worldview was once again being utterly shredded. Mission status. Success. Highly uncertain. Self-sabotage points plus 20 awarded. System instability level elevated. Warning. This system may not be sustainable for much longer. System, you poor thing. Hearing that weak, exhausted alert, I actually felt a pang of sympathy. Just as I was about to head back to class, utterly resigned, clutching my pile of trophies, a cold voice spoke from behind me. "Looks like you're quite popular." My body stiffened, and I slowly turned around. Jessica Miller stood there. I hadn't even heard her approach. She still had that aloof, ethereal air about her, but her eyes were deeper than usual, like 2 bottomless, icy pools. Her gaze swept over the colorful pile of gifts in my arms, sharp enough to pierce through them. Crap, busted. I instinctively tried to hide the stuff, but it was too late. No, they just shoved them at me. I stammered, feeling like a cheating boyfriend caught by his partner. Wait, why was I explaining myself to her? I'm the villainous side character. Jessica didn't say anything, just walked closer, step by step. Her elegant, subtle perfume once again wafted to my nose, but it carried an invisible pressure. She stopped in front of me and reached out her hand, not to take the gifts, but to gently pluck a tiny, pink glitter speck, probably for some girl's hair, off my sweater. Her movements were delicate. Her fingertips didn't even brush my clothes, but my traitorous heart still skipped a beat. This afternoon, there's a practice game between our department and the athletics department at the basketball court. She raised her eyes, looking at me calmly, her tone leaving no room for argument. "You'll be there, right?" It wasn't a question. It was a command. I opened my mouth, searching for an excuse to refuse. In the original plot, the original Ethan would definitely go to such an event to show off for Jessica, only to be utterly humiliated by the hero, Jake, due to his terrible skills. But with things like this, wouldn't I just be walking into my doom? You'll be there. Jessica cut me off, a faint curve on her lips that sent a shiver down my spine. "I want to watch you play." With that, she stopped looking at me, turned, and gracefully walked away, leaving me alone in the hallway, clutching a pile of gifts and utterly flustered. Later that afternoon, at the basketball court, I finally showed up, gritting my teeth. Partly because Jessica's gentle threat had sent chills down my spine, and partly because the system had just issued a new mission. Main mission update. Participate in the basketball practice game. Maliciously foul the protagonist, Jake Thompson, attempting to injure him. Mission reward. Self-sabotage points plus 50. Mission failure penalty. Publicly declare a cringe-worthy, exaggerated love confession to Jessica Miller. Enhanced version. 50 self-sabotage points. A huge reward, but the penalty for failure. Publicly confessing cringy pickup lines to the Yandere campus belle. That was a mental image too horrible to contemplate. It would stomp all over my dignity. For the points for going home, I was all in. The basketball court was already packed, the atmosphere buzzing. Most people were there to watch the athletic guys and Jake Thompson, the hero, show off. But a small portion were staring intensely at me. Ethan's here. Wow, he looks so good in a jersey. He must be here for Jessica, right? So devoted. My mouth twitched at the whispers. Devoted my ass. I was here to screw things up. Sure enough, Jessica Miller was sitting in the best spot courtside, surrounded by a few girls, but she ignored them all. Her gaze was calmly fixed on the court until I appeared. Only then did her eyes land precisely on me, with a look of satisfaction. Even more unsettling, I spotted Brittany Jenkins on the other side of the court. She was holding a small camera, snapping pictures of me, and excitedly pointing me out to the girls next to her. The smell of an impending showdown was getting stronger and stronger. The game began. My department, business management, the original Ethan's department, was playing against athletics, a huge mismatch. Jake Thompson, the star of the athletics team, immediately commanded all attention. His drives, layups, and long shots were smooth and elegant, drawing cheers from the sidelines. Meanwhile, I strictly adhered to the villainous side character script, beginning my performance. I deliberately stayed close to Jake, looking for a chance to maliciously foul him. During a rebound, I seized the moment, secretly aiming my elbow hard at Jake's kidney. In my head, he should have collapsed in pain. The referee would blow the whistle, and the crowd would boo me. But Jake seemed to have eyes in the back of his head. With a nimble turn, he not only dodged my elbow, but also effortlessly snatched the ball, leaving me stumbling and nearly falling over. A few suppressed snickers came from the sidelines. Refusing to give up on the next offensive play, I waited for the exact moment Jake jumped for a layup, then tried to trip him, aiming for his ankle. It was a dangerous, definitely malicious move. But Jake, midair, somehow adjusted his body, easily avoiding my dirty trick. He smoothly sent the ball into the hoop, and when he landed, he gave me a meaningful look. Not anger, but a hint of pity and exasperation. Me. This hero's plot armor was seriously too strong. After several attempts, not only did I fail to commit a foul, but my clumsy, obvious attempts made me the laughingstock of the court. Even my own teammates were giving me disgusted looks. Ethan, can you play or not? Get off the court if you can't. Stop messing things up. Hearing my teammates' complaints and the crowd's taunts, I felt so frustrated I wanted to spit blood. Why was it so hard to screw up? Just as I was about to lose it, my chance finally arrived. Jake made a swift breakthrough. Seeing I couldn't keep up, I hardened my resolve and simply launched myself at him from behind. It was a very dangerous and obvious foul. This time, Jake couldn't completely avoid me. I clipped him, he lost his balance, and fell to the ground. Beezy's. The referee's whistle shrieked. Success. My heart leaped with joy. However, before I could even celebrate for 2 seconds, I heard 2 surprised gasps from the sidelines. Ethan! Jessica and Brittany practically sprang to their feet at the same time, their faces filled with worry. And it was worry for me. Jessica cast a cold glance at Jake, who was still on the ground, then quickly walked over to me, her voice laced with urgency. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? Brittany also pushed her way over, aiming her camera at me. Ethan, you're going all out. That dive was so cool, but you have to be more careful next time. Me? No, ladies. I committed the foul. I knocked someone down. You're worrying about the wrong person. I looked at Jake on the ground. He'd picked himself up, brushed off his jersey, and was staring at me, surrounded by two goddesses. His expression was a priceless mix of bewilderment, frustration, and disbelief. The entire audience had fallen silent, looking at me, then at Jake, then at the two campus beauties fawning over me. Their faces all held the same expression. Who am I? Where am I? What is happening to this world? Mission status, success, effect uncertain. Self-sabotage points plus 50 awarded. System overloaded. Entering power-saving mode. The system seemed to have given up entirely. I stood in the center of the court, feeling the concern of two beautiful, Yandere, women, enduring the murderous glares of every guy on campus, and the hero Jake's complex stare. I felt faint. I couldn't be this villainous side character for one more day. After the basketball court incident, my reputation, Ethan Hayes, took a decidedly bizarre turn on campus. The rich playboy who fights for love, the mysterious heartthrob who captivated two goddesses, the maverick who even dared to challenge Jake Thompson. All sorts of ridiculous labels stuck to me, impossible to shake off. Walking around, I got more stares than the university president. The girls' gazes grew even more intense, and the guys' glances became even more complex, with Jake Thompson's being the most pronounced. His initial disdain had evolved into a deep, searching look of what kind of freak is this guy anyway. As for the system in my head, ever since it entered power-saving mode, it had been practically comatose. Aside from occasionally issuing miserly reward missions with negligible penalties, it was mostly just lying dormant. My self-sabotage points were accumulating at a snail's pace. The day I'd go home felt light years away. What gave me the biggest headache, though, was Jessica Miller. After that basketball game, her attention level clearly ramped up. It wasn't just simple breakfast deliveries anymore, though the breakfasts were still unwavering and increasingly elaborate. She started subtly infiltrating every aspect of my life. For example, she'd happen to appear in the library reading room I frequented, sitting across from me, quietly reading, but her eyes would occasionally flick over to me, making me feel like I was sitting on pins and needles. Or she'd casually pass by my classroom when class let out, then conveniently walk with me for a bit, asking seemingly innocuous but chilling questions like, "What did you have for lunch?" Or "What are your plans tonight?" And then there was Now. Big Mike, that good-for-nothing friend, had dragged me all the way to the school rooftop under the pretense of getting some fresh air and escaping the love triangle chaos. But as soon as we got up there, I saw Jessica Miller standing alone at the edge of the roof, gazing out, the breeze gently ruffling her dark hair and the hem of her white dress. The scene was beautiful, like a poster for a romance drama. But to me, it was nothing short of the opening scene of a horror movie. "Ethan, opportunity knocks." Big Mike winked and gave me a hard shove. "Jessica's all alone. Go comfort her. This is as far as I can help you, bro." With that, he bolted faster than a rabbit, even thoughtfully closing the rooftop door behind him. Me? That fat jerk. What did I ever do to you? I froze in place, caught between a rock and a hard place. Jessica seemed to have heard the commotion, slowly turning around. Seeing me, a flicker of almost imperceptible brightness crossed her cool eyes, but quickly settled back into calm. "Ethan," she said, with just the right amount of surprise in her voice. "What are you doing up here?" "Yeah, right. You were totally staking out this spot." I just came up for some air." I gave a weak laugh, slowly inching towards the furthest corner from her, pretending to admire the view. The atmosphere on the rooftop grew incredibly awkward. Only the wind whistled in my ears. I secretly peeked at her and found her staring at me, her gaze focused, filled with a complex emotion I couldn't decipher. Not disgust, not coldness, but more like a determined possessiveness and a hint of deeply hidden unease. That look made my skin crawl. I decided to take the offensive, break this eerie silence, and maybe, just maybe, snag a few self-sabotage points. The system might be half dead, but every little bit counts. Random mission. Mock Jessica Miller for feigning aloofness, questioning if she plays hard to get with all guys. Mission reward. Self-sabotage points plus 5. Mission failure penalty. None. Looking at the pathetic reward and the utterly non-threatening penalty, it was clear how much the system had given up. I cleared my throat, trying to make my tone sound as obnoxious as possible. "Jessica, what's with all these chance encounters? You usually act so aloof, but now you're playing hard to get? Is this how you treat every guy with a bit of money? As soon as I said it, I felt like a complete jerk, bracing myself for a cold glare or for her to simply walk away. But Jessica's reaction, once again, completely defied my expectations. Far from getting angry, she tilted her head slightly in a faint, almost playful and, "Please smile," curved her lips. "Playing hard to get?" she repeated softly, then slowly walked towards me, her heels clicking against the concrete of the empty rooftop, each step echoing my heartbeat. "Ethan," she stopped right in front of me, so close I could feel her breath on my chin as she looked up. "I only act this way with you." Her voice was soft, yet it held an undeniable certainty and a hint of provocative intimacy. My heart jolted, and I instinctively took a step back, but my back hit the cold concrete railing. Nowhere to run. "WH, what do you mean?" I stammered. This wasn't the script. Wasn't she supposed to be furious and storm off? "It means..." Jessica took another step closer, our faces so near I could see her individual eyelashes, her cool perfume completely enveloping me. "I'm interested in you." She said it directly and honestly, her icy eyes now burning with a near-obsessive intensity. "From the first time you awkwardly tried to give me that necklace outside the dorms, all nervous but trying to act tough, that's when I became interested." My mind went blank. The first time? Wasn't that my dumbest self-sabotage attempt? That was when she got interested. Are you feeling okay?" I almost reached out to touch her forehead to see if she had a fever. "I was harassing you. Couldn't you tell?" I could tell. Jessica nodded, her gaze even more intense. "But it was cute. See you. Cute." I nearly choked. "Lady, what is wrong with your taste?" Later, when you insulted those girls, and when you clumsily tried to foul Jake on the basketball court, she continued, her eyes seeming to savor a precious memory. "It was all very cute. I like your awkward duplicity." Awkward duplicity? I was diligently trying to screw up. How did that become endearing to her? I was completely flustered. My logic and this world's logic were separated by the Mariana Trench. "So, Ethan," Jessica reached out and gently tugged the corner of my shirt. The gesture was almost playful, but it sent shivers down my spine. "You're mine. Don't pay attention to those other girls, especially Brittany Jenkins." Her tone remained calm, but her eyes held a cold warning and intense possessiveness. Just then, the rooftop door slammed open. "Ethan, so you're here. I've been looking for you for..." "Ev." Brittany's cheerful voice cut off abruptly as she took in the scene on the rooftop. She stared at Jessica and me, practically pressed together, especially at Jessica's hand clutching my shirt. Her smile instantly froze, and her eyes sharpened. A showdown. The classic rooftop confrontation. Alarm bells went off in my head, and I felt like my scalp was about to explode. Jessica slowly released my shirt, turned, and faced Brittany. The tenderness and intimacy on her face vanished instantly, replaced by her usual Ice Queen demeanor, even colder than usual. "Brittany, do you need something?" Her voice was flat, but it carried an invisible pressure. Brittany took a deep breath, puffed out her chest, and met Jessica's gaze without flinching. "I have something to discuss with Ethan. I don't think it concerns you, Jessica. His business is my business." Jessica's tone was calm, but it held a possessive authority. Brittany scoffed. "You're a bit overstepping, aren't you, Jessica? Ethan hasn't exactly acknowledged being anything to you, has he?" Two girls, one as cold as ice, the other as fiery as a summer day. Their gazes clashed in the air, sparking like static electricity. I was stuck in the middle, feeling like a tiny boat in the eye of a hurricane, ready to be torn apart at any moment. I tried to interject, to diffuse the tension. "You keep quiet." Both girls snapped at me simultaneously. "Me? Fine, I'll shut up." Just as the tension reached its peak, a strong gust of wind suddenly swept across the rooftop, kicking up dust. I instinctively squinted, my foot accidentally caught on a small pebble that the wind had just blown over, and I instantly lost my balance. With a gasp, I tumbled backward. Behind me was a waist-high concrete railing. I wouldn't fall off, but hitting it would still hurt like hell. "Watch out!" Ethan, Jessica, and Brittany both changed color, reaching out to grab me. In the chaos, I felt a strong tug from somewhere, and my body lurched forward. Jessica, trying to catch me, also instinctively leaned in. And then, time seemed to freeze. My lips met an unexpected softness and coolness. It carried her unique, elegant scent. My eyes widened. I stared at Jessica's eyes, inches away, her pupils suddenly constricted, filled with shock, then quickly replaced by something deeper, darker. I think. I just kissed Jessica Miller. Brittany's sharp intake of breath echoed beside me. The entire world fell silent, save for the whistling wind and the frantic drumming of my own heart. Beep. Critical intimate contact with female lead detected. Plotline severely compromised. System. Static. Attempting restart. Fail. Entering deep sleep mode. The system's final alert, with a strong hint of I quit. Desperation died out completely. It was over. I kissed the system into crashing. Time it felt like had frozen in that instant. The sensation on my lips was cool and soft, carrying Jessica's unique, elegant scent, like a snowflake landing on a red-hot iron, instantly sparking a chaotic sizzle. Though that sizzle was mostly my brain short-circuiting. I recoiled violently, as if hit by an electric shock, my back slamming hard against the concrete railing. I winced in pain, but that physical discomfort was nothing compared to the tidal wave of chaos in my mind. I kissed Jessica Miller, the Ice Queen campus belle, the potential Yandere, in front of another girl. And it was an accident. It was over, completely over. There was no explaining this away. Jessica stood motionless, her cheeks rapidly blooming with a crimson blush that spread all the way to her earlobes. Her usually aloof eyes were now like a spilled palette of emotions. Shock, embarrassment, a flicker of helplessness, finally settling into a deeper, darker, almost devouring intensity. She didn't speak, just raised a hand, her slender fingertips lightly brushing her own lips, then her gaze locked onto me. That look wasn't simple possessiveness anymore. It was like she was confirming her personal property had just been marked. Beside us, Brittany Jenkins had snapped out of her initial shock. She looked at Jessica and me, her eyes complex, a mix of jealousy, anger, and a hint of excited provocation. She crossed her arms, letting out a scoff. "Oh, excuse me. Looks like I came at a bad time. Interrupting your little moment, did I?" Her sarcastic, loaded words instantly shattered the eerie silence. Accident. It was a total accident. I quickly threw up my hands, trying to clarify, my voice trembling. It was the wind. The wind. I slipped. Jessica finally moved. She lowered her hand, her blush still present, but her eyes had regained some of their usual coolness. Though beneath that calm, something far more dangerous was stirring. She didn't look at me, but turned to Brittany, her tone flat, yet carrying an invisible pressure. "Brittany, since you know you're interrupting, shouldn't you leave?" Brittany didn't back down, chin raised. "Shouldn't you be the one leaving, Jessica? Ethan said it was an accident. What are you still doing here? Waiting for another accident to happen?" "Whether it was an accident or not, I know what happened," Jessica said coolly, her gaze returning to me, making my scalp tingle. "Ethan, what do you say?" "Me? What was I supposed to say? That I wanted to go home? I was in an impossible situation. Anything I said would either offend both of them or be interpreted by one as some kind of signal. Just as I was caught between a rock and a hard place, a savior, or rather, a bigger problem, appeared. The rooftop door was pushed open again. This time, two unfamiliar girls, who looked like freshmen, walked in. They immediately spotted the bizarre standoff, especially Jessica's flushed face and Brittany's confrontational stance. They gasped, whispered, "Oops, wrong roof," and quickly scurried away. But their appearance was like a bucket of cold water, temporarily dousing the brewing storm. Jessica gave me a deep look, her eyes promising we're not done talking about this. Then she smoothed out her slightly rumpled dress, resumed her elegant, aloof posture, and turned to leave the rooftop without a word. As she walked away, her steps seemed to touch faster than usual. Brittany watched Jessica leave, then huffed. She walked up to me, her eyes burning. "Ethan, don't be afraid of her. She's all talk. I'll protect you." My mouth twitched. Protect me? What I needed protection from was them. Brittany, I appreciate the thought, but don't mention it." Brittany cut me off, flashing a bright, slightly mischievous smile. "Ethan, there's a new movie out this weekend, and I got 2 tickets. Let's go together." With that, she actually pulled 2 movie tickets from her pocket and waved them in front of me. Static. Invitation detected. System. Sleeping. No mission. Host advised to fend for self. The system's intermittent, weak static faded into complete silence. Not even advice anymore. It had completely given up. I stared at the 2 movie tickets, feeling like they were 2 death warrants. Say yes. Jessica would probably freeze me solid and shatter me if she found out. Say no. Given Brittany's demeanor, she wouldn't give up easily. I might be busy this weekend. I tried to politely decline. No problem. Brittany seemed to anticipate this, shoving the tickets directly into my jacket pocket. "You keep them for now, Ethan. You can watch it whenever you're free." "I'm always free." She winked at me, then left the rooftop in high spirits. In the blink of an eye, the lively rooftop was empty again, save for me. The wind blew, bringing a chill, but my face still felt hot. That cool sensation on my lips seemed to linger. I touched the movie tickets in my pocket, then remembered Jessica's dark gaze as she left, and felt a profound sense of dread about the future. The system was crashed. Going home was hopeless. I was surrounded by 2, and possibly more, unpredictable bizarre goddesses. This life was unlivable. Over the next few days, I truly learned the meaning of the struggle of the post-system era. First, there was Jessica's reckoning. She never mentioned a rooftop incident again, but her actions became far more direct and dominant. Breakfast still arrived on time, larger portions, more variety, as if she were declaring ownership through force-feeding. She no longer casually encountered me. Instead, she'd wait directly outside my classroom after class, then naturally walk with me to the cafeteria or conveniently accompany me back to the dorm. She even started quietly standing nearby, watching with her icy gaze whenever I spoke to other girls, even classmates asking normal questions, until the girl couldn't bear the pressure and scurried away. She practically became my human attachment, silently driving away any female creature that dared approach me. Next, there was Brittany's opportunistic approach. She seemed to have memorized my class schedule, always appearing during brief windows when I was alone, like when Jessica was at a student council meeting. Sometimes she'd hand me a drink, sometimes share a joke she found hilarious, sometimes just wave hello to make her presence known. She wasn't as intimidating as Jessica, but her enthusiasm and persistence were equally hard to fend off. What gave me an even bigger headache was, whether it was my imagination or not, I felt like even more girls were paying attention to me. Look, there's Ethan. Even Jessica and Brittany are fighting over him. What's his secret? I don't know, but it's so thrilling. I want in. I'd occasionally overhear whispers like that. And once, I even found an anonymous love letter in my backpack. What was up with this bizarre heartthrob aura? I hadn't done anything. I just wanted to peacefully self-sabotage. That afternoon, with no classes, I finally managed to shake off Jessica. She had an important academic discussion to attend. I was about to sneak back to my dorm for some rare alone time when I was stopped on the shaded path near the building. It was Jake Thompson. The protagonist had finally come calling. He looked at me, his eyes complex, devoid of his previous disdain, replaced by scrutiny and a hint of barely perceptible frustration. "Ethan," he said, his voice low, "we need to talk." My heart sank. This was usually the rival's declaration of war or the hero's warning, right? About what? I asked, staying on guard. Jake was silent for a few seconds, seemingly gathering his thoughts, before finally speaking with a hint of exasperation. What exactly have you done to Jessica? Me? Why that sounds so weird? I didn't do anything to her. I protested. It was all her. It was all an accident. Accident. Jake raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. Jessica wasn't like this before. She was always so cold, dismissive to everyone, including me. But lately, he paused, his gaze growing even more complicated. She's been acting strange. She worried about your clumsy foul. She shows that. Expression I've never seen on her face when other girls get close to you. He sighed, a hint of frustration in his voice. I've known her for years, worked so hard, and it all pales in comparison to the short time you've been around. Ethan, what is it about you that's so special? I looked at Jake's handsome face, now etched with confusion and disappointment, and for a moment, I didn't know what expression to make. Me special? The only thing special about me was that I tried to self-sabotage and always ended up succeeding in the wrong way. Jake, I clapped him on the shoulder, adopting a fellow sufferer tone. Some things you just can't explain. Maybe it's fate. With that, I left an even more bewildered Jake behind and scurried back to my dorm. Lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, I felt utterly exhausted, mentally and physically. The system's silence, the goddess's rivalry, the hero's confusion. It was all a tangled mess. Just then my phone buzzed. 2 messages arrived almost simultaneously. Jessica Miller. Meeting ended early. What do you want for dinner? I'll come find you. Brittany Jenkins. Ethan. I found this amazing dessert place. Free tonight? I'll take you. I stared at the 2 messages side by side on my screen, imagining the 2 goddesses walking towards me, sharpening their knives. When would this nightmare end? On my phone screen, Jessica and Brittany's messages flashed side by side like 2 death warrants, reflecting the despair in my eyes. Choose one. This was a lose-lose situation. Pick Jessica, and Brittany would undoubtedly cause a scene. With her fiery personality, she might even show up under my dorm window with a megaphone, protesting. Pick Brittany? I could practically see real frost forming around Jessica, her eyes drilling into me with a soul-freezing gaze. My force-feeding era would instantly end, and I'd likely face even scarier attentions. I bury my head in my hands, rolling around on the bed, feeling like an ant being roasted over a fire. Ethan, what's up? Love trouble again. Big Mike mumbled around a potato chip, his face practically glowing with schadenfreude. Get lost. I snapped, kicking his chair. Finally, I made what I thought was a brilliant decision. Play dead. I didn't reply to either of them. I turned my phone to silent, shoved it under my pillow, and tried to employ the ostrich strategy. If I didn't see it, the trouble couldn't catch me. However, I had underestimated the initiative of these 2 goddesses. That evening, when I was starving, my stomach practically glued to my back, I stealthily snuck out of the dorm, planning a quick raid on the cafeteria. The moment I reached the dorm entrance, I saw 2 familiar figures. Jessica Miller and Brittany Jenkins, one on each side, like 2 intimidating guardians, flanking the dorm's main door. Jessica held a delicate, multi-tiered bento box, her expression blank, her eyes cool. Brittany cradled a delicious-looking cream cake box, a triumphant smile on her face. Their gazes met in the air, sparking with static, a literal clash of lightning. Around them, within a 15-foot radius, a low-pressure zone had formed. Passing students detoured, casting curious or odd glances. I froze, instinctively wanting to retreat. Too late. Ethan. Jessica's voice was the first to cut through the air, calm and even, yet with an undeniable force. Ethan. Brittany's voice followed immediately, enthusiastic and vibrant. Both walked towards me simultaneously, blocking me at the dorm entrance, creating a perfect pincer movement. I made your favorite lemon herb chicken and roasted potatoes. Jessica held out her bento box, which emitted a tempting aroma. Ethan, I got Sweet Treats Bakery's limited edition Black Forest cake. I waited in line forever. Brittany countered, holding up her cake box. I looked at the bento box and the cake, swallowing hard. Not from hunger, but from fear. I'm not really hungry. I try to protest. Even if you're not hungry, you still need to eat on time. Jessica's tone was bland, but it carried an undeniable, you will eat this whether you want to or not assertiveness. Exactly, Ethan. Something sweet will cheer you up. Brittany chimed in, smiling sweetly, but her eyes clearly said, try refusing. I stood in the middle, feeling like I was being torn apart by 2 powerful currents. On my left, an icy mountain pressed down. On my right, searing flames licked at me. The crowd of onlookers grew larger, their whispers growing louder. Holy cow, a live catfight. Who is Ethan to deserve this? I'm so jealous, I admit it. I'm betting on Brittany. Who can resist that fiery passion? Just as the standoff intensified, and I was on the verge of social annihilation, a slightly high-pitched female voice cut through the air. Ethan. I looked over and saw a girl in a frilly Lolita dress, looking like a living doll, skip over, clutching a beautifully wrapped gift box. She completely ignored Jessica and Brittany and threw her arms around my arm. I froze. Who was this? Happy birthday, Ethan. The doll-like girl looked up, batting her big eyes, her voice sickeningly sweet. Birthday? I was stunned. Was the original Ethan's birthday today? I had no memory of that. Jessica and Brittany froze simultaneously, clearly blindsided by this new development. Ding dong. Unknown plot point detected. Birthday celebration. System force waking. Insufficient energy. Emergency mission issued. At the upcoming birthday celebration, reject all advances. Declare you will live a solitary life and never pursue romantic relationships. Mission reward. Self-sabotage points, plus 100, massive. Mission failure penalty, none. System energy insufficient to enforce penalty. The system's weak but urgent voice suddenly rang in my head, and that 100 self-sabotage points made my heart leap. Massive reward. Was the system having a death rattle? I tried to pull my arm out of the doll girl's grasp. I'm Lily Davis from the Arts College next door, she pouted, seemingly annoyed I'd forgotten her. We met at that intercollegiate mixer. You said I was cute. Me? Original Ethan. How many women did you mess with? Lily's appearance was like a stone thrown into a still pond, instantly breaking the deadlock between Jessica and Brittany. Both their gazes shifted simultaneously from each other to this new, distinctly different enemy. The atmosphere grew even more bizarre. From a two-way standoff to a three-way battle? Oh, so it's your birthday, Ethan. Brittany was the first to react, her smile growing even brighter. Then this cake is an absolute must. What's a birthday without cake? Jessica said nothing, but her gaze at Lily's hand wrapped around my arm dropped several degrees, almost freezing into ice. She took a step forward, subtly creating distance between Lily and me, then said to me in a calm voice, "Since it's your birthday, I reserved a table at the Skyline Room for a celebration." The Skyline Room? A chorus of gasps went around. It was one of the city's most renowned high-end restaurants, with prices that would make your jaw drop. Wow, Jessica, going all out. Brittany exclaimed with exaggerated admiration, but her eyes were full of defiance. But for a birthday, a party is most important. I booked the biggest VIP room at the Vibe Room Karaoke. I invited tons of friends. How about we all celebrate your birthday there, Ethan? It'll be a blast. Lily jiggled my arm. Ethan, please come. I even got your present ready. I looked at the three girls, each with their distinct style and burning gaze, and the choices they represented. A high-end restaurant, a lively karaoke party, and an unknown surprise or terror. My scalp tingled. This wasn't a birthday celebration. It was a triple threat ambush. Choosing any one meant completely alienating the other two, potentially leading to unpredictable consequences. The surrounding chatter was already a frenzy. Three goddesses celebrating his birthday. What kind of VIP treatment is this? I'm so jealous, I admit it. Who will Ethan choose? All eyes were on me, awaiting my decision. Jessica's eyes were resolute, as if victory was already hers. Brittany's smile was confident, full of anticipation, and Lily was all innocent, childlike, pleading. I took a deep breath, remembering the system's massive 100 self-sabotage points reward and that lonely bachelor line. The system might be about to crash, but that reward was too tempting. Go big or go home. I cleared my throat, and under the gaze of the three girls and the entire audience, put on what I hoped was an obnoxious, world-weary expression. I appreciate your kind offers, I said, my voice heavy. However, Ethan Hayes, am committed to a life of solitude, dedicated to scholarly pursuits. Romantic entanglements are not for me. So, I thank you for your invitations, but I won't be attending any of them. It's just a birthday. There's nothing special to celebrate. Then I dramatically tossed my non-existent bangs and added, I am destined to be a lone wolf in the wind. Silence. A deathly silence. Jessica froze, her eyes filled with shock and disbelief. Brittany's smile was plastered on her face, as if she hadn't understood a word I'd said. Lily blinked her big eyes, looking utterly bewildered. The surrounding onlookers were all dumbfounded. A lone wolf? What the heck did Ethan just say he was? Mission complete. Self-sabotage points plus 100. System energy depleted. Re-entering deep sleep mode. Good luck, host. The system's alert with a strong transaction complete. Now get out vibe fell silent once more. 100 points secured. My heart soared. Even if the cost was simultaneously offending all three, it was worth it to go home. Before they could react, I quickly peeled Lily's hand off my arm, squeezed through the gap between Jessica and Brittany, and tossed out, "See ya. I'm off to study." Then I sprinted out of that hot zone like my life depended on it. Even from far away, I could still feel those three gazes burning holes in my back. A mix of shock, indignation, and an even stronger, almost competitive determination, as if some strange rivalry had been ignited. I hunched my shoulders, feeling a chill run down my spine. This lone wolf persona, it seemed, wasn't quite as stable as I thought. Ethan Hayes, self-proclaimed lone wolf in the wind, had successfully rejected the lavish invitations of three goddesses on my birthday, earning a precious 100 self-sabotage points. But joy was fleeting, and consequences were eternal. My lone wolf declaration, far from granting me the peace I sought, was like pouring cold water into a hot pan of oil. It completely exploded. First, there was the media frenzy. Did you hear? Ethan rejected Jessica, Brittany, and that art school cutie. He said he's going to be a lone wolf, dedicated to studying. Him? Studying? Wasn't he dead last on the last midterm? What kind of new pickup artistry is this? Playing hard to get. I bet $5 he won't last a week. Walking around campus, the attention I received shifted from envious jealousy to curious scrutiny mixed with looking at a clueless idiot. A few even bolder girls approached me, grinning, to ask, "Ethan, does a lone wolf need to be fed? I have some cookies here." Me? Lone wolves don't eat cookies. Lone wolves eat meat. No, lone wolves eat nothing. Lone wolves are beautiful alone. Next, and most importantly, the reactions of the three girls completely deviated from my expectations. Jessica Miller didn't back down because of my rejection. Instead, it sparked an even stronger, how should I put it, desire for conquest. Her gaze, which had previously been declaring ownership, now upgraded to absolute determination, as if I were a supremely difficult math problem that she had to solve. Her feeding became more precise, more scientific, and she even started organizing my class notes for me. Though those perfectly neat, clearly highlighted notes looked completely out of place in the hands of a bad student like me. Brittany Jenkins, on the other hand, changed tactics, shifting from frontal assault to a flanking maneuver. She stopped constantly inviting me places and instead began frequently appearing wherever I might be, like the track, the library, which I rarely visited, or even my favorite local coffee shop. She'd just wait by the entrance. Her excuse was casually encountering the lone wolf, soaking in the solitary vibes. Then she'd hand me a bottle of water or a snack and skip away, grinning. She even joined our department's cheerleading squad, just so she could cheer for me whenever I occasionally and reluctantly played basketball, her chant being, "Ethan, the lone wolf, is the coolest." I swear. What gave me the biggest headache was the newly appeared Lily Davis, the art school prodigy from next door. She seemed to have completely dismissed my lone wolf declaration, or perhaps she interpreted it as a different form of cute stubbornness. She started sending me all sorts of adorable emojis and selfies, with messages ranging from "Good morning, Ethan. Even lone wolves need sunshine," to "Ethan, do you like my new dress? Don't I look like a little lamb offering herself to the lone wolf?" A little lamb offering herself to the lone wolf? What even is that? I felt like a scratching post being eyed by three cats with very different personalities, each wanted to take a swipe and claim ownership. "Ethan, your lone wolf act is way more exciting than our social lives." Big Mike snickered, munching on a piece of the gourmet chocolate I'd been force-fed and couldn't finish. I slumped onto my desk, feeling utterly drained. The system was still playing dead. Self-sabotage points were accumulating at a glacial pace, and going home felt like a distant dream. This lone wolf persona hadn't brought me peace. Instead, it had made my life richer and more chaotic. Just when I thought I'd hit my limit, a bigger disaster struck. Spring break was approaching. A break meant no classes, but it also meant I'd have plenty of time to be besieged. Sure enough, on the last day before the break, all three of them approached me almost simultaneously. First was Jessica Miller. She handed me a beautifully printed itinerary detailing a trip to a historic town known for its cultural sites and serene atmosphere. Everything from bus tickets to accommodation, even what we'd eat each day, was meticulously planned. "Let's go here for the break," she said in a flat tone, as if stating an undeniable fact. "The environment is tranquil, suitable for reflection." She paused subtly on reflection, clearly implying something. Before I could even refuse, Brittany Jenkins bounced up, waving several VIP passes to an amusement park, her voice chirpy. "Ethan, let's go to that new Dreamland park for the break. They have the biggest roller coaster in North America. It'll be a blast. Even lone wolves need to let loose." No sooner had she finished than Lily Davis popped up from somewhere, fluttering like a butterfly to my desk, hugging my arm and shaking it. "Ethan, our art center has closed-door drama rehearsals over the break, and we need an important male role. I think your lone wolf vibe would be perfect. Will you come rehearse with me? Please? Room and board included." I looked at the 3 invitations before me. Cultural pilgrimage, extreme thrills, artistic immersion. My head started to throb. I have to go home for the break. I tried to deploy my ultimate shield. I asked Mike. He said no one's home and you're not going back. Jessica said calmly, directly exposing my lie. "That rat." I shot a glare at Big Mike, who promptly buried his face in his book, his shoulders shaking with silent laughter. I might have a part-time job." "Ethan, you need a part-time job? Don't be ridiculous." Brittany burst out laughing. "Ethan, if you come to rehearsals, I'll pay you a salary," Lily declared grandly. All 3 escape routes were completely blocked. I looked at the 3 girls, their eyes burning, as if I wouldn't be allowed to leave the classroom today unless I chose one. I despairingly closed my eyes. This wasn't a choice. It was 3 death sentences, and I had to pick one way to die. Just in that critical moment, our department advisor suddenly appeared at the classroom door, rapping on the frame. "Quiet down, everyone. A quick announcement. To foster interdepartmental exchange and team spirit, the university is organizing a cross-departmental wilderness survival challenge over spring break. Voluntary sign-ups. The location is the Shadow Peak Preserve for 3 days and 2 nights. Interested students can sign up with me." Wilderness Survival Challenge? Shadow Peak? My eyes snapped open. There's always a way out. This was exactly where a true lone wolf belonged. Away from the city, away from the crowds, away from these 3 formidable women. The conditions might be tough, but compared to being trapped by them, it sounded like paradise. "I'm in." I practically yelled it, my voice loud and full of yearning for freedom. The entire class, including the advisor, stared at me in surprise. Jessica, Brittany, and Lily were also stunned. "Ethan, are you sure?" The advisor pushed up his glasses, looking at me, the usual spoiled brat, with surprise. "This event is pretty tough. It's not a vacation." "Positive. Absolutely positive," I declared firmly. "I love a challenge. I love nature. Advisor, please, you have to give me this chance." With that, fearing he might change his mind, I darted forward, snatched the sign-up sheet, and was the first to scrawl my name. Looking at my flourishing signature, I let out a long breath, feeling as if a huge weight had been lifted. Shadow Peak, here I come. Freedom, here I come. I turned back triumphantly, expecting to see defeated expressions on the 3 girls' faces. What I saw instead were 3 pairs of eyes, all simultaneously lighting up, filled with excitement and fierce determination. Jessica gracefully rose and walked to the advisor. "Advisor, I'm signing up too." Brittany followed right behind, bouncing. "Me too. I love wilderness survival." Lily also raised her small hand, her voice sweet. "Teacher, can I go sketch and paint for everyone? It'll be artistic field work." The advisor looked at the 3 famous beauties who had instantly signed up, a bit bewildered but nodded. "Yes, of course, welcome." The smile on my face instantly froze, as if I'd been struck by lightning. Watching the 3 of them hold their registration forms, giving me that you can't escape smile, my vision went black, and I almost fainted. Why? Wilderness survival? With them 3? For 3 days and 2 nights? This wasn't a lone wolf's liberation. This was throwing a fake lone wolf into the encirclement of 3 true predators. Shadow Peak, I feared, was about to become my tomb. At the base of Shadow Peak, the bus groaned to a halt, kicking up a cloud of dust. Ethan Hayes, hefted my bulging hiking pack, mostly stuffed with snacks, courtesy of Big Mike. Looking at the lush, seemingly endless mountain range, my heart sank. This wasn't a nature preserve. This was my execution ground. And standing beside me were the three relentless executioners, now all in sleek athletic wear, still dazzlingly vibrant. Jessica Miller wore a light gray professional hiking outfit that accentuated her slender yet strong figure, her long hair tied in a high ponytail, looking crisp and capable. She was quietly checking her gear, her gaze focused as if she were leading a scientific expedition, not participating in a challenge. Brittany Jenkins was a burst of vibrant pink in her windbreaker, wearing a sun hat, bouncing around, taking selfies with the mountain scenery, humming a tune. She looked like she was on a leisurely spring picnic. Lily Davis was the most extravagantly dressed, in a khaki-colored utility jumpsuit with lace trim, a wide-brimmed sun hat, and a sketchbook strapped to her back, a wild sketching manga girl come to life. She was gazing around with wide, innocent eyes. Besides us four, there were about a dozen other students from various departments, plus 2 experienced-looking outdoor guides. But clearly, our little quartet was the absolute center of attention. "All right, everyone," a tan guide clapped his hands, his voice booming. "Welcome to Shadow Peak. For the next 3 days, we'll be undergoing wilderness survival training. Our goal is to develop your teamwork and self-reliance. Now, time for groups." Groups? A tiny spark of hope ignited in my chest, as long as I wasn't with them. For ease of management, we'll go by department and sign-up order for per group. The guide read from his clipboard. Group 1, Business Management, Ethan Hayes, Jessica Miller. Foreign Language, Brittany Jenkins. Pacific Arts College, Lily Davis. You 4 are Group 1. My heart plummeted. Hope shattered. Despair washed over me. I watched the 3 of them automatically gravitate towards me, feeling like I was enveloped by 3 invisible auras. Jessica's coolness, Brittany's enthusiasm, Lily's unsettling sweetness. "Awesome, Ethan. We're in the same group." Brittany cheered. "Ethan, please take care of me." Lily smiled sweetly. Jessica said nothing, simply and silently placing her backpack next to my ridiculously colorful snack bag, her actions exuding a natural "what's mine is mine," including people, vibe. The guide handed out some basic tools: a compass, a simple map, a small coil of rope, a multi-tool knife, and a small tent. 1 tent per group. Arrange your sleeping situation yourselves. Food and water need to be found and purified within designated areas. Our guides will follow at a distance and will not intervene unless there's danger. Good luck. 1 tent for 4 people. My eyes bugged out at the sight of that tiny tent, which looked like it could barely fit 2. What kind of hellish difficulty was this? Lone Wolf. Jessica's cool voice reached my ear, carrying a hint of subtle teasing. "Looks like you won't be howling at the moon by yourself tonight." "Me?" We set off into the mountains. The path was manageable at first, but I'd overestimated my own stamina and underestimated the girls. Jessica Miller had incredible endurance, her steps steady. She led the way, occasionally adjusting direction using the map and compass, unervingly calm. Brittany, though seemingly flighty, also had decent stamina. She chattered behind Jessica, sometimes turning back to give me a hand. Lily, however, was struggling. She started complaining about being tired not long after we started, looking at me with pitiful eyes. "Ethan, I can't go on." What could I do? Just let the poor kid collapse? I reluctantly took her sketchbook from her. So, the scene became Jessica leading, Brittany bringing up the rear, and me in the middle, panting, carrying 2 bags plus a sketchbook, with Lily occasionally trying to wipe sweat from my forehead, which I dodged. This wasn't a lone wolf. This was a pack mule carrying everyone's burdens. "Ethan, have some water." Brittany offered her water bottle. "Ethan, watch your step. The rocks are loose here," Jessica called over her shoulder. "Ethan, you even look handsome when you're sweating." Lily gushed, cupping her face. "Me? Thanks, I'm good." We finally found the first water source according to the map, a clear stream. The guide had said we needed to purify our own water. I stared at the flowing water, stumped. How do you purify it? Filter with sand? Boil it? We didn't have a pot. As I was staring blankly at the stream, Jessica had already neatly pulled a portable water filter from her backpack. God knows how that seemingly small bag held so much stuff, attached it to a water pouch, and skillfully began collecting and purifying water. Brittany, meanwhile, conjured a packet of water purification tablets from a side pocket of her bag like a magic trick. This works too. So easy. Lily pulled a small bottle of Evian mineral water from a secret compartment in her sketchbook. Ethan, you can have mine first. I looked at the three of them, then at the pile of chips and chocolates in my own bag, and fell into a deep spiral of self-doubt. Who was actually here for wilderness survival? By evening, we followed the map to a relatively flat forested area for our campsite. The next challenge, pitching the tent. I stared at the pile of fabric and poles, utterly clueless. The original Ethan was a spoiled rich kid who couldn't lift a finger, and I was a city boy myself. Tent pitching skills were definitely not on my resume. Jessica seemed to sense my predicament. Without a word, she simply picked up the poles and started assembling. Her movements were fluid and precise, as if she'd done it countless times. Brittany also came over to help, a bit clumsy but very enthusiastic. Lily's job was to cheer. Jessica, you're amazing. Go, Brittany. Ethan, you look so handsome just standing there. My face burned. I tried to do something, anything, but almost knocked over the frame they just managed to set up. You? Jessica said without looking up, her voice cool and concise. Don't move. Me? Okay, I admit it, I'm useless. The tent was eventually pitched successfully, thanks to Jessica's leadership. Looking at the small green tent, barely big enough for two people, the atmosphere grew subtle once again. How are we sleeping tonight? Brittany was the first to ask the fatal question. For people, one small tent. Jessica stood up, clapped the dust from her hands, her gaze calmly sweeping over us, finally landing on me. Her tone was matter-of-fact. Ethan and I will sleep in the tent. Why you? Brittany immediately flared up. Yeah. Lily puffed out her cheeks. Jessica's reasoning was sound. I pitched the tent. Besides, the temperature in the mountains drops at night, and someone needs to maintain body heat. He has the worst stamina and is prone to hypothermia. She paused, then added, I'm thinking of the team's safety. Me? Oh, thank you so much. Could you please not say such misleading things in such a serious tone? I can keep Ethan warm too, Brittany argued. I can too. I'll hug Ethan while we sleep, Lily declared, never failing to shock. Seeing a tent ownership battle about to erupt, I quickly stepped forward, though my legs felt a bit wobbly. Stop arguing. I took a deep breath, trying to maintain my lone wolf dignity. I'll sleep outside. The three of you sleep in a tent. So what if I got bitten by mosquitoes? I'd rather get eaten alive than be torn apart by these three. No. This time, all three said it in unison. Jessica's eyes showed disapproval. You'll get sick. Brittany shook her head. What if there are snakes outside? Lily's eyes welled up. Ethan, please don't. Finally, thanks to my strong insistence, and almost threatening to die for it, a bizarre compromise was reached. I would sleep at the tent entrance, half my body in, half out, with the tent flap open. The three of them would squeeze inside. Was I a doorman, or a human doormat? Night fell, and the mountain temperature indeed plummeted. I curled up in my sleeping bag, feeling the biting cold wind at the entrance, and behind me, the three intensely present gazes and faint, lingering perfumes from inside the tent. Jessica's coolness, Brittany's vibrancy, Lily's cloying sweetness. They blended together, tormenting my nerves. I squeezed my eyes shut, desperately calling out to the system in my mind, hoping it would give me a mission to escape this misery, even if the penalty was barking like a dog. Alas, my mind was silent. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, I felt someone lightly touch my shoulder. I cautiously opened my eyes. In the faint moonlight, I saw Jessica, who had moved beside me, carefully placing her thicker down sleeping bag over mine. Her movements were gentle, as if afraid to wake the other two, though I suspected they weren't asleep at all. After doing so, she glanced at me, her eyes seeming softer in the moonlight, then silently moved back. I lay there, wrapped in her warm sleeping bag, which carried her cool, clean scent, completely stunned. A little while later, there was another rustle from the other side. Brittany secretly slipped a hand warmer next to my hand. Then, from the other side, Lily gently placed her cute, fluffy hat on my head. I lay at the tent entrance, covered by Jessica's sleeping bag, clutching Brittany's hand warmer, wearing Lily's hat. Feeling this mix of ice and fire, this sweet yet heavy care. I looked up at the sparse stars outside the tent, a profound sense of melancholy filling my heart. This wasn't wilderness survival. This was 3 female hunters in a full-scale, inescapable wilderness hunt, targeting one fake lone wolf. Under the meticulous hunt of the 3 goddesses, my first night on Shadow Peak was more exhausting than an all-night gaming marathon. The next morning, I was woken by bird calls and some even more bizarre noises. Groggy, I opened my eyes to see Brittany holding up her phone, snapping pictures of my drooling, "I hope not," sleeping face, softly murmuring. Ethan even sleeps with a lone wolf's wild charm. Jessica, meanwhile, had somehow procured clean stream water and was using a small alcohol stove to heat it, seemingly preparing tea or coffee. When she saw me awake, her gaze lingered on my face for a second, then nonchalantly shifted away, though her earlobes seemed a little flushed. Lily was holding her sketchbook, sketching away. Seeing me look, she immediately hid the book behind her back, blushing and giving me a silly smile. I sat up, still wearing Lily's fluffy hat, feeling like my entire body was falling apart. This lone wolf persona was a double torture, physical and mental. Awake? Have some hot water. Jessica handed me a steaming metal cup containing clear hot water, nothing added. Thanks. I took it. The warmth spread through my palms, dispelling some of the fatigue and awkwardness. According to the expedition plan, today we needed to cross a denser patch of forest to reach the second designated rally point on the map. The mountain path was indeed much harder than yesterday, tangled with vines and strewn with loose rocks. I was still the pack mule, carrying the heaviest load, though today, Jessica silently took some weight from my backpack. Brittany remained full of energy, clearing the path with a stick, constantly reminding us behind her to watch our footing. Lily was still a bit of a burden, complaining about being tired after just a few steps. But today, she didn't make me carry her sketchbook. She gritted her teeth and persevered, though her pitiful eyes would occasionally drift towards me. The atmosphere had a strange harmony, until the sky unexpectedly darkened. "It's going to rain," Jessica said, looking up at the sky, her brow furrowed slightly. The moment she spoke, large raindrops began to fall, soaking us instantly. The mountain rain was sudden and cold, accompanied by strong winds, and visibility rapidly decreased. "Quick, find shelter." Jessica acted decisively, pulling my somewhat disheveled self towards a dark hillside nearby. Brittany and Lily quickly followed. Fortunately, on the leeward side of the hill, we found a small cave. The entrance was half covered by vines, and it was dark inside, but large enough for the 4 of us. Squeezing into the narrow cave, the outside world was a deluge of rain and howling wind. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of damp earth and our own hurried breathing. We were soaked to the bone, clothes clinging to our bodies, shivering uncontrollably. We need a fire, or we'll get hypothermia," I stammered, remembering my wilderness survival knowledge. Jessica nodded, starting to rummage through her treasure chest-like backpack. God knows how she fits so much in that seemingly small bag. But the flint she pulled out was also wet. She tried several times, but only managed a few sparse sparks. Brittany and Lily were also shivering, hugging their arms, looking at us expectantly. The cave was dim, and the atmosphere felt tense due to the cold and the unknown. I looked at the 3 of them shivering, especially Jessica, though she still tried to maintain her composure. Her pale lips and slightly trembling shoulders betrayed her condition. Brittany and Lily were like 2 drenched kittens. An inexplicable sense of responsibility and maybe a touch of compassion welled up in me. I was a guy, after all. I couldn't just watch them freeze, could I? I'll try starting a friction fire. I rolled up my sleeves, determined to show off my self-proclaimed manliness. I found 2 relatively dry branches and, recalling what I'd seen online, clumsily started rubbing them together. 1 minute, 2 minutes. My hands were practically smoking, but not a single spark appeared. "Ethan, maybe, let's just give up," Brittany whispered, her voice a little hoarse. "Ethan, your hands." Lily looked at my reddened palms. her face full of concern. Jessica didn't speak, but silently pulled a small, cartoon-patterned towel from an inner pocket of her backpack. It actually had a dry spot, and handed it to me. "Wipe yourself." I stared at the cute towel, so incongruous with her aloof image, then took it and haphazardly wiped my face and hands. A wave of frustration and powerlessness washed over me. What kind of lone wolf was I? I couldn't even start a simple fire. Just then, Jessica suddenly moved closer. Before I could react, she reached out and gently took my hand, which was red from rubbing the branches. Her hand was cool, but her touch was delicate. I froze, instinctively wanted to pull my hand back, but she held it with a little more force. "Don't move," she whispered, then lowered her head and gently breathed warm air onto my cold palm. The warm breath brushed my chilled skin, sending a subtle shiver through me. The cave was dark. I couldn't see her expression, but I could feel her focused movements and that faint but persistent source of heat. Again and again, my heart skipped a beat, then began to accelerate uncontrollably. Thump, thump, thump. It pounded so loudly in the quiet cave that it scared even me. Brittany and Lily saw this too and froze. For a moment, the only sounds in the cave were the drumming rain outside and my own deafening heartbeat. Jessica, was she warming my hands? This realization hit me like a thunderbolt in my chaotic mind. Wasn't she supposed to be aloof, watching me, the lone wolf, fend for myself? Why was she doing this? I could do it myself, I said, my voice dry, trying to pull away. Jessica looked up. In the dim light, her eyes were startlingly bright, devoid of their usual coolness, instead holding a stubborn tenderness. "Your hands are cold," she simply said, then lowered her head again, continuing her clumsy but effective warming method. Brittany, watching us, her eyes complex, bit her lip, then suddenly squeezed closer. She wrapped her arms around my other arm, pressing her damp but still lively body against mine. "Ethan, I'm cold too. Let's share warmth." Seeing this, Lily, on the other side, not to be outdone, wrapped her arms around my waist, burying her small head in my back. "Ethan, Lily's cold too." So, the scene became, I was like a central pillar, with Jessica holding my left hand and breathing on it, Brittany clinging to my right arm, and Lily hanging on my back. 3 different perfumes mixed with the scent of rain and earth, tightly enveloping me. Cold and warm, rigid and soft, various contradictory sensations intertwined, assaulting my poor nerves. My brain completely crashed. Lone wolf, self-sabotage, going home. At this moment, it all became a blur. The only thing clear was the gentle yet persistent warmth from Jessica's hand on my left, and the heart in my chest that felt like it was about to burst. I don't know how long passed, but the rain outside gradually subsided. Jessica finally released my hand, her voice returning to its usual coolness, though slightly hoarse. "The rain has stopped." Brittany and Lily also reluctantly let go of me. I felt like I'd just been pulled from water, though it was cold sweat. Gasping for air, my face so flushed I could probably fry an egg on it. We dared not look at each other. The atmosphere in the cave was both ambiguous and awkward. Ding! Host heart rate abnormal. Emotional fluctuations intense. System energy slightly replenished. Attempting analysis. Static. Analysis failed. Advise host. Follow your heart. The system's intermittent, weak voice suddenly rang in my head. Follow my heart. I didn't even know what my heart wanted anymore. Just then, the light at the cave entrance was partially blocked. We warily looked up to see someone standing there, one of the outdoor guides. Dressed in a rain slicker, he saw the 4 of us huddled in the cave, disheveled, mostly soaked, and flushed, mostly from heat and embarrassment, his expression utterly priceless. Ahem, the guide awkwardly cleared his throat. The rain stopped. The other groups have already reached checkpoint 2. I came looking for you since you hadn't arrived. Are you? All right. The 4 of us exchanged glances, then said in unison, "We're fine." Our voices were loud enough to startle the guide. Following the guide out of the cave and back into the daylight, we all subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief, but the subtle atmosphere between us simply wouldn't dissipate. Especially Jessica. She had reverted to her Ice Queen persona, as if the person who stubbornly warmed my hand in the cave wasn't her at all. but I couldn't simply see her as a troublesome Yandere campus belle anymore. That moment of uncontrolled heart pounding, it was real. This downpour seemed to have washed away some of my carefully maintained facade and also revealed the tip of an iceberg of something hidden beneath. My lone wolf path, it seemed, was getting harder and harder to navigate. The Shadow Peak Survival Challenge finally ended amidst an incredibly subtle atmosphere. On the bus ride back, the air between the three girls and me felt thick. Jessica sat by the window, eyes closed, resting. Her profile was still cool and aloof, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was subtly different now. Brittany was unusually quiet, looking out the window, with headphones on, lost in thought. Lily held her sketchbook, occasionally stealing glances at me before quickly looking down, her cheeks flushed. As for me, my mind kept replaying that cave scene. Jessica's focused expression as she breathed warm air onto my hand and my own out-of-control heartbeat. System energy restored to 10%. Major plotline deviation detected. Host emotional module undergoing unknown changes. Reevaluating mission. The system's voice was still weak, but it seemed to carry a hint of human-like confusion. I shook my head, pushing away these chaotic thoughts. Regardless, I needed to get back to school first. Maybe once I was back in a familiar environment, everything would return to normal, right? However, I was too naive. Back at school, I found that things hadn't just failed to return to normal. They had sprinted headlong into an even more bizarre direction. First, my lone wolf persona completely collapsed. I don't know who I strongly suspect Big Mike, that big mouth, exaggerated and spread parts of our adventures on Shadow Peak. Especially the cave incident during the rain. It was depicted as three goddesses humble themselves to warm the lone wolf. Ethan moved to tears. I was not. And true feelings revealed in the wilderness. Lone wolf and Ice Queen melt together. All kinds of ridiculous versions. As a result, my image in everyone's eyes went from a pretentious rich jerk to a sarcastic, irresistibly charming heartthrob. Walking around, the stares I received were even more complex. Some guys even came up to me, asking for the secret to attracting three different types of goddesses simultaneously. If I knew, would I still be playing lone wolf here? Second, the attitudes of the three main girls changed. Brittany Jenkins seemed to have been energized by the cave incident. Her offensive became more aggressive and direct. She was no longer content with just delivering breakfast and chance encounters. She began openly passing me notes in class, their content escalating from, "You look great today, Ethan, would you consider going out with me?" Which almost made me fall off my chair. She even teamed up with a few of her friends to dedicate a song to me on the campus radio. And it was "Marry You." That day, I wished I could dig a hole and crawl into it. Lily Davis, on the other hand, adopted a gentle persuasion policy. She framed and gave me the sketch she'd drawn in the cave that day, a side profile of me leaning against the cave wall, looking conflicted, along with a card that read in cute handwriting. "Ethan, even a lonely wolf needs companionship. Lily will always be your little lamb." I looked at the drawing and the card, my feelings complex, a mix of being touched and slightly creeped out. But the one who was most inscrutable was Jessica Miller. She no longer constantly declared ownership or force-fed me. She became quiet, but the way she looked at me was even deeper than before, carrying an all-knowing calmness and a determined patience. She would still occasionally encounter me, but only offer a faint greeting or ask, "Are your hands still cold?" Then, before I could fully process it, she would gracefully walk away, leaving me standing there with a racing heart. This calm before the storm made me even more uneasy. I felt like a frog being slowly boiled in warm water, surrounded by sweet traps on all sides, and I was losing the strength to jump out. The system was still half dead, only occasionally sputtering out emotional fluctuation analysis in progress. Static, before falling silent again. The path home seemed increasingly distant. That afternoon, I found myself, by some strange impulse, walking to the confession tree where I had first encountered Jessica Miller. Looking at the familiar scene, recalling the chaotic, plot-derailing days since I transmigrated, I couldn't help but sigh. From diligently trying to self-sabotage to inexplicably becoming a heartthrob, and now deeply entangled in a romantic mess. What kind of life was this? What's wrong? Even a lone wolf's size. A cool voice spoke from behind me. My body stiffened, and I slowly turned. Jessica Miller stood behind me. I hadn't heard her approach. The setting sun cast a soft golden glow around her, warming her cold features slightly. In her hand, she held a familiar cat-themed bento box. For you. She handed me the bento box, her tone natural, as if there had never been any awkwardness or turmoil between us. I numbly took it, opened it, and found exquisitely arranged pastries, just as always. Jessica, I looked at her, finally voicing the question that had been churning in my mind for so long. Why? Why me? What was so great about me? A clumsy transmigrator trying to follow a script, a villainous side character destined for misery in the original plot. Jessica didn't answer immediately. She walked to my side, leaning against the tree trunk like me, her gaze fixed on the sun slowly setting in the distance. At first, perhaps it was because of your difference. She spoke softly, her voice carrying a trace of dreamy recollection. Everyone thought you were just a persistent, rich jerk, but in your eyes, I didn't see that annoying desire. I only saw a clumsy, almost mission-driven, helplessness and nervousness. My heart jolted. She saw through me? When you gave me the necklace, your hands were trembling. When you insulted those girls, your eyes were darting away. When you tried to play dirty on the basketball court, your movements were stiff like a puppet. She turned her head, looking at me, her icy blue eyes reflecting the sunset, with a hint of almost tender teasing. Ethan, you can't act like a true bad guy at all. Your acting is terrible. My face flushed. I couldn't argue. Later, she continued, her voice gradually growing deeper and more serious. I watched you try to avoid Brittany and Lily, yet get flustered and tangled up by them. I watched you claim to be a lone wolf, yet blush and your heart race when we got close in the cave. I watched you, despite being weak, always try to act tough. She paused, her gaze intensely fixed on me, and said word for word, I found that version of you very real, very cute, like a little puppy, all timid inside, but trying to bare its teeth and act fierce. A little puppy. I thought I was a lone wolf. Had been demoted, but I couldn't be angry because her gaze was too earnest, too direct, and the emotions surging within it threatened to drown me. So, Ethan, Jessica took a step forward, the distance between us close enough to feel each other's breath. She looked up at me, her voice clear and firm, carrying her unique dominance and a hint of imperceptible trembling. I like you, not for your family's money, not for your clumsy performances, but just because you're you. Are you satisfied with that answer? I stared at her face, so close to mine. Those eyes, always so cool, were now overflowing with undisguised affection and fierce determination. The sunset glow diffused behind her, breathtakingly beautiful. My heart, once again, pounded uncontrollably, even more violently than in the cave. In my mind, the system's alert, as if finally breaking free, shrieked. Warning, female lead's ultimate confession detected. Plotline completely collapsed. Villainous side character redemption mission permanently failed. Based on host's emotional fluctuations and world line reconstruction results, initiating final protocol, system detachment. Host soul permanently bound to this world. Congratulations, host. You have acquired permanent residency in this world. We wish you a pleasant life. Goodbye. After a rapid-fire series of alerts, I felt something snap in my mind, followed by a strange sense of lightness that permeated my entire body. Some invisible shackles that had bound me were gone. The system was gone. I couldn't go back, but the realization brought not panic, but a sense of relief. I looked at this beautiful, intelligent, and slightly yander-dominant girl who had just confessed to me. I thought back to all the moments since I transmigrated, the chaos, the helplessness, the awkwardness, the unexpected stirrings of my heart. Maybe staying here wasn't so bad after all. To hell with being a villainous side character. To hell with the self-sabotage mission. I quit. I took a deep breath, looked into Jessica's anxious and expectant eyes, and finally broke into the most genuine, albeit slightly helpless and doting, smile I'd had since I transmigrated. Satisfied, I heard my voice say, but can we change little puppy to boyfriend? Jessica froze. Then, on her ice-like face, a brilliant, dazzling smile blossomed. one that could eclipse the setting sun. A glint of triumphant cunning and an unbearable sweetness flashed in her eyes. She nodded vigorously. Okay. She actively reached out, tightly gripping my hand, fingers intertwined, with a strength that suggested she would never let go. Then, boyfriend, she tilted her head, her tone returning to a bit of her usual coolness, but the smile in her eyes was irrepressible. From now on, stay away from Brittany and Lily, understood? I looked at her, so dominant yet so adorable, and couldn't help but laugh. I squeezed her cool hand back. Yes, ma'am, my campus belle girlfriend. The setting sun stretched our shadows long, intertwining them, as if foreshadowing a future that might still be chaotic, but would undoubtedly be incredibly sweet. Lone wolf in the wind. No, from today on, that was ancient history. Now, he was taken, Ethan Hayes. End.